This episode is sponsored by the Using the Power of Your Voice eGuide, your guide to launching your podcast in 30 days. Slayers, are you feeling a call from God to start a podcast but uncertain about where to begin or what you'll need? Creating a podcast can be a fulfilling and enjoyable experience. Whether you're interested in sharing your expertise on a specific subject, conducting engaging interviews, or educating and entertaining your listeners, podcasting can help you establish strong connections and foster a sense of community. Using the Power of Your Voice is a guide to start your podcast in just 30 days, and it's perfect for anyone who is clear that God told them to start a podcast. Whether you're nervous about recording or unsure where to start, this guide will provide you with valuable insights and actionable steps to help you record and launch in 30 days. In this guide, you'll learn to identify your why, find your topic, learn where to host your podcast, and what equipment you need to start. If you are ready to be obedient to your calling and start your own podcast in just 30 days, download your copy of Using the Power of Your Voice today by going to www.slangselfdoubt.com/podcast. That's www.slangselfdoubt.com/podcast. Thank you for your support, and I can't wait for you to start using the power of your voice. You're listening to the Slaying Self-Doubt podcast with Coach Felicia, where we empower Black women to overcome their doubts, fears, and insecurities in order to give birth to their God-given purpose. Join me and sometimes some of my friends on our journey as we remind you that you are not alone. I'm Felicia Wallace, and together we will find our fears and slay them. Hey Slayers, welcome back to another episode of Slaying Self-Doubt podcast. I am here with Nicole O, Salmon, the purpose coach. Hey Nicole, how are you?
Hey, I'm good.
Hey. So she asked me, y'all, right before I press record, how did you find me? And I find people because I stalked them on Instagram. I think I have been stalking you for probably about 2 years now. One, because, when you're in alignment and when you're doing things. And so I think when I was transitioning into this phase of entrepreneurship and being purposeful about who was on my timeline and, removing things that no longer serve me and stuff I probably didn't need in spirit anymore, I was intentional about like looking for other inspiration around things that would just empower me to continue to move forward. And so you were one of those people. So, I'm always kind of like stalking people for a period of time. Then I get up enough courage to ask them, can they come on the show?
Well, I'm glad you did.
Yes. I'm excited. So I know I've stalked you, so I know what you do, but the people probably don't know what you do. So can you introduce yourself and tell them how you got started?
Yeah, absolutely. Hello, everyone. So my name is Nicole O, minister, strategist, and the purpose coach.
Oh, why you ain't
And
tell me minister? I would have said
yes,
Minister
listen.
Nicole O. Salmon. Okay.
Oh, no
Listen.
offense given. No offense given. There are so many titles. Sometimes I forget some of them myself. No worries. But yeah, I work with women through coaching primarily to help them to get like radically clear about their purpose so that they can, walk in that purpose with consistency and confidence and clarity. And so how I got started was the question. It is
Yeah.
really a mashup of I'm gonna try to make three big stories really small, really quick.
Okay.
So how I got started was, years ago while I was in seminary, I had this dream. In the dream, basically the meaning of the dream, God showed me a vision where there was a home invasion and a net came down. And in the dream, I knew that the invaders were coming back. In the net was a bunch of tools. Everybody said, you got to protect yourself because they're coming back. People started picking up tools, but I intuitively knew it was the wrong one. So I started stopping them and I was like, no, this one for you and this one for you. And when I woke up after time seeking God and him giving me revelation about the dream, he said to me, I've called you, I've given you an equipping ministry. And so, I've called you to help to help people to understand what tools are in their hands. And so
Wow.
yeah, yeah. And so I feel like he's really graced me in the area of purpose, clarity, and unpacking that and demystifying that for people. So that was the first piece of the how I got started. I worked in the non-for-profit sector for over almost 2 decades, doing
Okay.
similar work around life
Mm-hmm.
skills and all of that stuff. But I knew the grace for that was shifting and that God
Mm.
was moving me, didn't have all the details. We know how that goes. um, but I eventually made the leap. Eventually made the, planful, intentional leap in leaving my 9 to 5 and
Yeah.
starting my own coaching practice. And within the first 18 months, after a lot of self-doubt, which I'm sure we'll get into,
We are.
um, I started to follow the breadcrumbs and put the pieces together and realize that purpose is what I was always talking about, and that's what God
Mm.
wanted me to focus my niche in on. So somewhere in the midst of all of that, I also had some pain and stuff going on for me in my body, back, knee, hip, ankle. Everything was starting to go awry, and I got referred to a chiropractor.
Mm.
And didn't I never had been to one before, didn't know what seeing a chiropractor is going to do with the fact that I didn't even have range of motion in my shoulder. Like I was just,
Oh,
yeah, it was really bad.
yeah.
It was from an old injury that I never treated. That's a whole
That's
sermon
a
right
whole so
there.
yes,
That's
yes,
a
it
whole
is.
sermon right there, right? And so that pain had come back, right? And so, anyways, so I saw the chiropractor, click clack, got up off his table and had full range motion of my arm that I couldn't use going
Mm.
in, and was on the pace to healing. And when I was walking out of the office, Holy Spirit said, listen, as it is in the natural, so it is in the spirit. He's like, your spine, your core was out of alignment,
Mm.
and
Mm.
as a
Mm.
result, you started to experience pain, right, in different parts of your body. He's like, the same thing is true in the spirit, Nicole. He's like, when your core, right,
Yeah.
your purpose compass, if you want to call it, when we're out of alignment with that, we start to see pain show up in different areas of our life.
Mm.
Pain can look like financial problems, it can look like challenges at work, our
Yeah.
relationship. And so really, if you would, I understood all of that to mean, listen, God, you've graced me. I keep talking about purpose. I'm following the breadcrumbs here. I keep talking about purpose. You've given me this vision around equipping women, and now you've shown me in the spirit just this. It's almost like he was calling me to be a spiritual chiropractor,
Mm.
help
Mm.
women who were experiencing, who were fragmented in different areas of their life, to really pull the pieces back in together, so that they can walk in purpose, walk
Yeah.
out a purpose-led life. So that's what I do.
Man, yes, that is a powerful story. First of all, okay, because there's so many things. So, like as you were saying, I was like, already know. So we're going to unpack this. The first thing is that Moses is my guy, okay? And so that whole what is in your hand and you saying that you're
Mhm.
able to be able to tell people, a lot of times that's the thing that we're missing. We already have what we need, right? It is
Yes.
already within us. And it doesn't, sometimes it's not a physical thing, but sometimes it is. But most of when it comes to purpose and the things that are holding it, we're looking to see like, oh, is it this? Is it this? Is it that?
Right.
And the whole time, God's already given it to you. So that's number
Yeah.
one. Okay. Then number two, healthcare is my background. And so when you
Okay.
said that, I already knew. I was like, your the way pain and the way purpose manifest in your body or and
Mhm.
even self-doubt, we talk about it often, how it all of those things just manifest in your body, that the minute you are sometimes, not all the time people, but sometimes, the minute that it clicks up here, the rest, you don't even know why. Like I had this pain, then one day it went away, right? Like, and
Most of
you
the time,
are
yeah.
you're unsure of what it is, or you have to go to somebody who can make the alignment. Okay. And
Yeah.
chiropractors used to get a bad rap, but I've been going to see
Yeah.
a chiropractor for the past 2 years, and I'm telling you,
Yes.
I had vertigo the
Mhm.
end of 2020. What year is this? 2020. Child. We far enough in it, I should know, but at the end of 2022,
Yeah.
and I'd say taking medicine, rest, all the things, nothing worked. And I just kept researching. I was like, you know what? I was going to go to the chiropractor. I got up and was like,
Yeah.
hell, no, why didn't I think of that? Like, why
Yeah.
wasn't this my first thought? But we don't necessarily, and all it is your body.
Yeah.
Like, there's no there's nothing that goes into it. It's just like you said, your body getting realigned to make the
Yeah.
adjustment that it needs.
Yeah.
So then that was number two. And then number three, like using those things to provide purpose for other people, right? And for other people to be able to see their God-given gift. Does something for you as well, because our part of our gift is to be able to give to others, right? And
Right.
it's just this circle, this revolving door of you being able to use your purpose. I say often that our obedience is connected to somebody else, and so I can't get my thing if you don't do your thing, and vice versa, right? So all the women who have been impacted by you having that dream, leaving your living, going to the chiropractor, right? It
Right.
doesn't it never makes sense in pieces, but when you say it all together, it's all purposeful. And
Right.
listen, I love it. I can pull stuff out of stuff. You already mentioned it, but how has self-doubt showed up in your journey?
Absolutely. So you talked about Moses, being your guy. He's my guy too, one of a few in the Bible. And God really taught me about self-doubt through the journey of the children of Israel, particularly when they were, complaining that they wanted food, and God sends down manna and he sends down quail. And if you know the story well, he also gives instructions that they were only supposed to take what they needed for that day.
Yep.
But of course, what did they do? They disobeyed, like they had a history of doing,
Right.
right? And they started hoarding.
Mm-hmm.
And understandably, I mean, you can imagine you left your home, you're in the desert, you've been dealing with scarcity for a long time, and now food shows up. So you disobey the rules, and you come out of pocket. And self-doubt is the same way. I find that for me, self-doubt shows up when there is lack or scarcity, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's like literal lack, like money. You talk about
Yeah.
starting a business and not having the resources. God tells you to do it one way, the money's not coming yet. So you
Right.
start doubting, you
Mm-hmm.
come out of pocket, right? You do something different. And what happens, like with the children of Israel, every time, I'm telling you, is it spoils,
Yep. Yep.
right? What they tried to hold on to, even though God told them not to, it would rot.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing happens with self-doubt when I think about things like script for my copy content for my website when I was starting.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I struggled with how much faith language I used in that. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, I don't want to scare off money, right? I can't say too, it can't be too gaudy, right? And I struggled with that. And then God had to check me. He's like, you don't think I have CEOs
Yeah.
in high places? You don't think I have 6 7 figure earners who want to hire you, who are
Specifically
looking.
for you. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And just even as a speaker, like, I remember I was going to speak somewhere once, and I got to the conference while the speaker before me was kind of wrapping up, and she was like so funny, and the room was roaring with laughter, and she was so infectious, and I was like, oh no. Oh God, I don't have no jokes. I'm not funny. Like, and I'm just like, I gotta put in a joke. And I started doubting, just what I had prepared. Like the whole drive down, it was me and Holy Spirit in the car.
Yeah.
Music's pumping, and I'm like, oh yes, Lord. And then I get in there and I hear someone else's voice. Then I
Mm.
started to doubt my voice.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, what do I maybe need to change real quick? And Holy Spirit was, and he has to do it several times. He's like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
You're not going to shift it. And I had to leave the room.
Mm.
I had to leave the room. I had to leave the room to go, like, gather myself,
Yeah. Yeah.
because I was getting all out of sorts because someone else's voice caused me to doubt my voice. And
Mm.
I'm telling you, I got in that room My sister did an amazing job. She completed the assignment God gave her with the voice that he gave her.
Yeah.
I went in there and I did the same. God moved in the way that he intended to move, and he slayed that room out.
Yeah.
But it never gets old. And I think for people listening, I want them to know that, because sometimes they look at people, like myself and others, and you might think, oh, it's natural for you, or you're
Mm-hmm.
seasoned, or there is never a time that a mic goes in my hand, it doesn't matter how small the group is, that I don't get nervous.
Yeah, yeah. That is one of the things that whenever I introduce myself, I always, I say what slaying self-doubt is, and I always say I am slaying self-doubt. I had somebody tell me, it's an affirmation. I'm like, it
Mhm.
absolutely is. And it's also me. Like every single time you see me show up, I am actively slaying my self-doubt.
Mhm.
I get nervous every single time I record an episode, and I've been doing this for 4 years. Every single time I have to speak, every single time I have to share anything. And I think that's God, right? Because that is that humbling of you. That's like, it's not me showing up. I'm telling you, when I step on this stage, when I put this mic in my hand, it is not me who is presenting. See, the entire time I'm like, Lord, get me through these 60 minutes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And like you said, God will come, he will work through you. And I think that something else powerful that you said is, you know, being mindful of other people's voices, right? When you're open to, you walked into a room to do an assignment. You weren't checking for anybody. Sometimes it's not you actually looking and getting caught up. Like we all
Right,
can get caught up in the comparison game, but sometimes you could just be in earshot of something and it will cause doubt. But what you have to do, and what I hope that people get from this show, the message, everything that I do, is that you can't stay in it, right? What would have happened if what you was going to do? Be like, no, I can't finish this. I can't go on stage because she just went. Like,
right,
are you going to back out of all the things because
right.
you hear something else happening? But I think that what you said was important, right? Like you acknowledge the fact that, okay, something is wrong, because clearly I was all together until I walked in here. And then you had
Mhm,
to remove yourself. And a lot of
mhm.
times we have to know the things that help us get through the self-doubt so
Right.
that we can do the assignment. So with that being said, what are some practical tips or ways that you get through your self-doubt? Like how do you slay your self-doubt when it's happening?
Yeah, so I mean, the reality is that we may not always be in a situation where we can physically get up and walk away
Right.
from the cause, because for 99.9% of us, the voice is actually inside of us,
Yes,
right?
yes. Mm-hmm.
And so we have to, what I tell my clients, become a master telemarketer.
Mm.
Now, I'm sure you've gotten a call from a telemarketer before. I used to work in telemarketing. And in telemarketing, you are trained in the art of rebuttals. Like if you're, I remember I worked somewhere, we were selling long distance, and you get a binder, and every possible no and rejection you can get, you are given scripts to learn to try to still
Wow.
flip it into. So even if the person's like, yeah, you know what, as soon as I hang up from you, I'm disconnecting my services. You say, well, that's wonderful that you're going to be saving some money, but you know what, if you sign up today, the next time, if you decide that you want phone services again, you'll still be able to receive it. Like it didn't matter what
What
the
they
no,
say.
what they said, we had a rebuttal.
Yeah.
We have to do the same for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
If we pay attention, there's usually, 2 to 3 of the same scripts, same conversations
Yep.
around self-doubt that we have with ourselves. It sounds the same, but different, sorry, but at the core, it's the same.
Yep.
And so once we understand what that rejection, that voice, that spirit of rejection sounds like within us, because that's what self-doubt is. It's us, it's the spirit of rejection. It's us rejecting right? The image of God,
Mm-hmm,
because
mm-hmm,
we are
mm-hmm.
made in his image. And when that image, when we need to bear that image, and that spirit of rejection wants to come up and rob us from being a reflection of that image, we have to know the voice, and we have to know the voice, and we have to be prepared to rebuttal it. So
Yeah.
what do? You write your affirmations, you get scriptures. I have my Bible right here. One of mine is Jeremiah chapter 1, and I love it. Verse 8, he says, it says, starting at verse 7, this is one of mine. But the Lord said to me, don't say that I'm a youth, for you shall go wherever I send you, and wherever I command you. Don't be afraid of their faces, for I will deliver you, says the Lord, right? And so he's like, behold, I've put my words in your mouth. Like, what are the things that
Mm.
you know by rote, so
Yeah.
that when self-doubt comes in, you can be firing them off,
Mm.
whether it's in your mind, because
Yeah.
right, if I'm alone, I have to say it out loud, so that I can bear witness back to, I need to hear the voice,
Yeah.
back to myself, echo, no, Nicole, you're called to speak. I'm working on a book right now, right here in my office, right? I have a little note that says that I am an anointed writer,
Mm.
that there is deliverance and power in my voice and in my pen. And
Yeah.
every time I sit down to write, I need to see that. Why? Because I've never written a book like this before.
Yeah.
And sometimes I doubt if I even know how to string a sentence together
Right.
properly, right? But so we ways that we can do that is know what the voice is,
Yeah.
be prepared with rebuttals, have visual cues around you to remind you, so that you have the tools to combat self-doubt. Because I tell my clients all the time, the fact that you struggle is not failure. I'm like,
Mm.
success is not the absence of your battle with self-doubt.
Come on.
Success is, before, when self-doubt came, I never did it.
Mm-hmm.
Now when self-doubt comes, I delay for 3 weeks, but that I do it.
Yep.
Now when self-doubt comes, I catch it, and by the end of the day, I'm taking action. Like, success is the progression in your bounce back time
Yeah.
and your rebuttal time to fighting with that spirit of rejection.
Yes. I listen, I love it because all of it. Yep, right. Like I first of all, I totally agree with you with having God's word be what is rebuttaling the negative thoughts, right? Because it's you can't argue with him, right? I always, I was at a conference recently and somebody was saying, you don't have to defend God, right? You don't have to defend Jesus. Like his word is his word, like it is there. Um, but the proof is right there. So it's not your job to try to defend it. It's, when they were talking about with for other people saying like you just walk people, you be along with the journey. But the same goes for us, right? Like if it's true for them, it's true for us as well. And so when those doubts and those fears, if it's already written, if you believe that your life is already written and God has a plan and he knew you before you were formed in your mother's womb, then everything else has to be true, right? All of the other things that he says about you has to be true. And so reminding ourselves of that is very important. But also, again, because Moses is my guy. When I, reading the Bible, right? Historically, I would kind of just do like verses and you do your daily Bible app and be like, okay. But God told me I'm gonna need you to read it. And I was just like, that's a lot of words, Slim. Like I just want you to know it really is a lot of words. And I was like, that's not like I don't have
Mm-hmm.
in my mind, I said, I don't have the need, right? And then it stayed on my heart, stayed on my side. Fine, okay, you know what? I'm gonna just go ahead, start this Bible study. And I started with a group of women and we've been reading it, right? And I recognized that there were so many things there's so many things in the Bible that specifically when it comes to saying self-doubt, it was a reminder of that. Like, this ain't new.
Right.
None of this is new, right?
That's right.
We've done gone through about 4 chapters, and I said, now why do they life look like mine? And this was this is not the same. It is a repetitive thing, and so just knowing that and getting, and that is for anybody who was wondering the same thing. I just want you to know, like, you don't have to be a theologian, you don't have to be a pastor to have to read the Bible. It's for you, right? It is for you so that you know for yourself. So when those moments come up, you can be like, I know that story, I know that person, this is very similar, and this is what God told them to do. So the message will still be the same.
Mhm.
uh uh um Judges 6:14, Gideon, he asked God quite a few times to prove who he was. Now, mind you, he already showed him who he was, but he did it again. And then he told him, go with the strength you have. I am sending you. So when I get distracted and I get caught up in my self doubt, I remind myself, Felicia, go with the strength you have. I
Yeah.
am is sending you. And so that reminds me, he's sending me. He already
Yeah.
got it. I'm just going to keep it going. And you know what, child? We gonna see what we gonna say who all gonna be there when we get there, and
That's
then
right.
that's just gonna be the end of it.
Mhm.
So what have you learned about yourself during this journey that you didn't know before? Did you hear that ad at the beginning of the show? If you're a business owner looking to expand your reach, you can promote your company or product with a host read pre roll or mid roll ad by me on the Slang Self Doubt podcast. If you want more information, email info@FeliciaWallace.com. That's info@FeliciaWallace.com. Now, back to the show.
Oh, wow. What have I learned about myself? Um, I don't know that I'd say I think less about what I learned about myself, but what I learned about purpose
Okay.
is never count yourself out, right?
Mm,
Like there was years of self-discovery and getting super clear on who I was and what I do, only for God to, interrupt the script and be like, oh, and right. So I think I would say that our life is almost like improv. I've never been,
yes.
but I've heard that the way it works is you don't stop, you just say, and, yes, and you continue.
Right.
And so I think what I learned about myself is that I haven't finished learning about myself, and
Mm,
that I have to continue to be close to God, to journey with Him, and to continue to say yes, because there are treasures inside of me, treasures inside of us that we have not mined yet.
mm,
And when we start to see it sparkle, we may think, well, that's not me. I don't do that. This is what I do. And we get so cemented on who we are when God
yes.
is like, listen, there's more in there. There's more that I want to pull out. So don't say no. I need you to say yes. And I'm
Yes.
a purpose coach. Yes. And I preach. Yes. And I
Yeah.
write books. Yes. And right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so my yes and is continuing. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I've learned in this last season, is that purpose is a yes and kind of
Uh,
situation.
yes. I love that. Especially for us as women, right? Because there have been moments historically that you're only supposed to be this one thing, right? This is it.
Right.
Anything outside of this one thing that you've chosen is doing too much. It's extra.
Mhm.
It's can't are you sure, right? And I love that yes and, right? Because like you said, we're continuously growing. I'm not the same person I was in my 20s, right? And I pray I ain't the same person in my 60s. But with that being said, what I did then just continues to add on, right? Those lessons I bring on with me. And so we're evolving every single day. Like
Yeah.
if you're not, then you're not living. So then there's that you're stagnant, right?
Yeah.
And so I love that is a part of it. So in speaking of purpose, right? As we talk about what it is that you do, I would like for you to define for us what is purpose. And the second question, it's such a difficult question because whenever people ask it, because that's why my brain is like I'm looking like that because
Okay,
I
take your time.
I
Take your
know
time.
I'm already like I already know what people are going to say because there's some person who's on here that's saying I don't know what my purpose is, right? Like I don't even know what that means. Is it the thing that I like to do? Is it the thing that there's different explanations for it, right? And so yeah, I guess those would be my questions. What is purpose? And then for someone who is saying, I don't know what it is, what would be What would be your answer to
Your next
them?
steps. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. So, purpose coach, here we go.
Let's go.
The number one mindset shift you will ever have to make concerning purpose is this, is that purpose is not a destination. It is a lifestyle. It is not a place you get to. It is a place you live from. It is not a what. It is a who. Okay.
Yep.
We could have settled there right in that pocket all day. And I'm telling you, I say it's the number one. I said not the number one thing you need to learn. It's not the thing you need to understand. I say the number one mindset shift. Because we like complicated. There are women who will be like, ooh, that's good. Ooh, that's good. And come off the podcast and still go complicate themselves.
Right. Just mess it all up. Make a whole jambalaya of it.
We like complicated. Yes. I am telling you, purpose is not a place that you get to. It's not a thing you do. Why we see that throughout scripture? Because the assignment on our lives change. Yeah. And so we would forever be in this insatiable quest to find this thing, only for it to change, to go back to feeling like we don't know what we're doing again. No, it's in here. Yeah. It's who we are. Again, it's that God design. And I know it's simple. I've been coaching for years, and even with women who I've worked with, and they get clarity and they're even functioning in their lane of influence, and then they're still like, oh, but I don't know, right? And the I don't know comes back in whenever our doing barometer goes down. And what I mean by that is we are people who are addicted to doing. And when we are not doing, we start to feel like we are not being. And so we get clarity, and then we do. So then we often associate the clarity with the doing. With right? The doing, yeah. We get clarity, and then we start doing something. And then when the doing barometer goes down, we start to ask the question all over again. I don't even know if this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't. It's not about what you're supposed to be doing. God has the assignment on your life will shift, right? The assignment on your life will change, but who you are, how he has shaped you, and again, it's like, it's too simple for us. We just like complicated, but really, it's even if you are jobless, right? Even if you are not in your career, even if you have not figured out what ministry you want to be serving in, what I say, you say to that one, well, where do you start? Where next? I say, like your guy Moses, what's in your hand? What's in front of you? There are days where I'm in seasons of scarcity and seasons of, oh my God, I don't even know anymore. Right. I don't even know, right? I get there. The purpose coach, I get there. Yeah. And you know what my response is after I stop with the whining is I just say, okay, what am I supposed to do today, God? Just what am I supposed to do? Like, not just the doing, but how is who Nicole is supposed to bear evidence in the earth today? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, if you're naturally an encourager, well, follow that. Like, is there someone I should be calling today? Is there something I should be? Purpose is not a place you get to, it's a place that you live from. And if the quicker we can grasp that, we will, because here's what will happen if we're stuck to the do, that we will find ourselves in great moments, but wrong person. Like, as in, we're the wrong person, right? And we will find ourselves in dream jobs, but showing up as the wrong woman. We're in relationships, wrong woman. And we wonder why these good, like, it's like, oh my God, poor me kind of a situation. No. It's because we don't have a grasp of who we are. Yeah. Because when you can have two truck drivers, same job, right? We're going back to same job, but one of them, their who is that they are an exhorter. The other one, their who is, they are an administrator. And so both of them may have the assignment in this season of their life. They may feel drawn to truck driving and that's what they love doing. But one's going to be encouraging everyone on the truck routes. They're maybe going to be writing on the bathroom walls words of encouragement. They're going to be doing, the administrator is going to be out there improving the trucking routes so that the drivers can get better sleep and the products can get right. It's not the do, it's the who. And then both of them leave the trucking industry and one goes into baking and one becomes a veterinarian, a different do, but the same who. So here they come again with the encouraging, and here they come again with the gift of administration. So if we don't understand what the who is, we will show up at the what and botch it up every time. I'm gonna stop there because
listen, this is I'm gonna tell you, I promise you, my listeners are going to get tired of hearing me say this. I know that they are, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to say it every single time because God is dope, right? Because listen, my shirt today actually says Jesus be knowing, okay? Because every single time I record an episode, no matter when the episode airs, it is for me. It is like the message is for me in that moment. But then also I said at the top of this, I say, I always respect people's time. We're going to, 30, 45 minutes. But if the spirit moves us, I go wherever he go. That's where we going. Okay. And so if he go that way, then this is because someone needs to hear that, right? That right there is exactly how people stay in stuff too long because they are married to the do, right, and not the who. And so I want to say this because my listeners know that the year of 2023 is the year of doing for me personally. But this ain't the same do, right? Because sometimes doing can be busyness, right? And just moving just to flailing your arms and you're doing stuff just to look like you're swimming or you look like you in the water, but you're in the baby side of the pool, right? You're not even in the deep end, right? There's that type of doing. And then there's doing where you have to put action behind whatever it is God is calling you to do, because nothing happens with faith without works is dead, right? Nothing happens without the action. And so you can be believing in something, but if I'm just sitting still, nothing is happening. So for me, the doing is, this is for my listeners so that y'all know, the doing is putting the work behind the faith, right? What Nicole is saying is when we're talking about purpose, who you are is your purpose. It's already, we said this in the beginning, it's already in you. It's all, whatever it is, you do it no matter where you are, right? And so when you say that, the assignment has showed up differently. I said I spent 15 years in healthcare. Guess what? I was a coach the entire time I was there.
That's right.
I was already empowering people. I was already slaying myself down. I was already showing people in how I was being now for me, it took me till now to realize that was what was happening. You don't necessarily notice it when you're in it. But when you get out of it, you're able to look back and you say, you know what, this started.
That's good. If I can interject something.
Yes, go ahead.
I love that you shared that, because many times we feel that what we were doing in another season was wasted time. Right? But purpose, I always say, leaves breadcrumbs for us.
Yes.
And that's what life was doing. So now you're able to look back and see, I see those crumbs.
Right?
And they're giving me intel. They're giving me, so for the woman who's listening and she's like, I don't have that deep level of, self introspection and understanding of my talents and my spiritual gifts and all the things that go, right? Look back. Look at the breadcrumbs. Where were there? Where can you connect the dots to be like, I was this over here and I was this over here. I'm this at my mama's house. I'm this at the kids' school. Like I'm this at PTA and I'm this at the church meeting. Like there's connect the dots.
It is a connect. Yes. And let me also say, y'all, the power comes in when you show up at the same place everywhere the same. Okay. Because there will be a season lots of seasons in your lives where you will unintentionally pocket who you are, right? Your being shows up in the places you feel comfortable. But in
Mhm.
those sections where you feel like somebody might ask you a question, you might be judged, you're not really sure if you want to change the dynamic of your relationships, all of those things, then you minimize your who, right? You
Mhm.
minimize who you are because you don't want to disturb what has been, right? And I noticed that as I was transitioning into this space and really like, slaying self-doubt was like really growing, and I was like, okay, no, this is what we're doing, Lord. We gonna have to do this, right? um but I noticed in certain circles I would be like, oh, oh, well, I'm just
Brain
doing a little,
scrolling. Yeah.
like but in other places, I'd be like, yeah, slaying self doubt,
Yeah.
yada, yada, yada. And I had to say, if it's me, then it's me everywhere.
Yeah.
And again, whoever's for me is for me, and who ain't will remove themselves. And if I know that to be true, because I've seen it happen so many times, I have
Mhm.
to show up everywhere as me, like the purposeful me. But guess what? We said this in the beginning about your obedience being connected to other people. Somebody in those circles, somebody at your job, somebody in your friend group, somebody at your school needs you to show up as your who. You are the light that they're missing. You are the thing that they need in order for them to tap into whatever it is that God put in them. Don't be afraid of it. It's easier said than done. I'm just going to say, for me, it was
Yeah.
easier said than done.
Mhm.
But when you do that, then guess what? It is so much easier to be you when you know who you are.
Yes. Yeah.
It really really is. And so when we talk of, so the second thing I was going to say is that when you were talking about, the first thing I thought of was the spiritual gifts test that
Mhm.
people can take. It's free, guys. Y'all can Google spiritual gifts,
Mhm.
and it's an assessment that will tell you what your gifts are, what you naturally do. And
Yeah.
so when Nicole was talking about these breadcrumbs, sometimes it's that you may not realize it. Like, you don't think that, oh, maybe I'm not, because the self-doubt, right,
Yeah.
tells us that
Mhm.
we're not an organizer, or the self-doubt tells us that we're not good at administration, or self-doubt tells us
Right.
that we're not an encourager. But if you notice that you happen to be my air quotes, because we're getting rid of this, but you happen to be the strong friend in your group, you're the encourager, you're the one everybody wants to talk to, you're the one that everybody wants the wise counsel from,
Mhm.
uh it's something there. It's something,
Yeah.
and people see you before you see yourself. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that right there is a big thing of being a, but you have to, I think the first step in even all of that is you have to be willing to go on the journey of
Mhm.
self-discovery. Would you
And it
agree?
doesn't end.
No, no, it
It
doesn't.
doesn't end. It doesn't
Yeah,
end.
but you have to be at least willing to start, right? Like, I
Mhm.
think that's the biggest part. When I would started this journey, I kept asking God, show me me. Show me me. Wherever it is, show me me. That may also mean there's some things that I'm going to have to correct. That may mean some things that's the Lord going to have to be like, now, we don't want this part, right? So we have to figure this part out. But if you show me me, then I'm able to do the work more confidently. I'm able to show up in my space. I'm able to, and I'm sure coming out of working in corporate or working outside of yourself, there's a difference, right? Although
Yep.
I was showing up in that space as me, I wasn't all of me,
Mhm.
right? Because there's certain, you like I said, you do some stuff depending on where you are, you can't be.
That's right.
Right. But when it's your space, if you have created a space, you better show up as your whole self. That's why
Mhm.
I tell people, no matter where you meet me, you're gonna always get me. This is me. You're gonna get all the PG County version of me. You're gonna get all this whole DMV accent. You're gonna get the fun. You're gonna get the energy. I'm going to show up as my whole self because I'm grateful that God has given me this opportunity to be able to do this. Right.
Mhm.
So, I told you the Holy Spirit we just went over there, and so we're just gonna bring it on back. Okay, so the purpose coach, Nicole. So what is it that you offer? What is it that you do for women who want to work with you, who want to be who are ready to start this journey?
Yeah. So one of the primary services that I offer. The most popular service are my one-to-one strategy sessions. And these are strategic prophetic times of coming together. It's for the woman who, has an idea, but has no idea where to start, or has a whole bunch of ideas and doesn't know how to sort through them. We meet up online for an hour. We dump it all out. Holy Spirit never fails around showing up in the room and giving clarity around how to put the pieces together so we can create a strategic plan, so that you can identify what are the next 2 to 3 steps you need to take, to, like you said, the year of doing, to actually move from just thinking about the thing to actually putting it into action. So my strategy sessions are really big right now, in addition to a number of group coaching events and things like that I offer throughout the year.
Yes. And I also know through stalking you that you also have a YouVersion Bible
reading plan.
Reading plan. Yes.
Yeah, I have several.
Yes.
I have several of them. Yeah. So if you use the Bible app YouVersion, you can just put Nicole O Salmon in. Or if you follow me on social media, you can go to the link in my bio and you can find the list of them there. But there are about 4 different reading plans that are there. The most popular one, we have over 100,000 subscribers. Thank you to everyone who's been enjoying and using the plans. Is my devotional stand, which is leading you through this 5-day journey of understanding how to do that, how to, kind of slay self-doubt and show up as yourself with consistency. So yeah.
Yes, I love it. Nicole, I just want to thank you for this conversation. It was completely what I needed. I know that anybody who was listening, y'all can't say that this conversation, the way she explained purpose, it was so clear. She told y'all, do not complicate it. Okay. It is very simple. Don't go in there trying to add your own seasoning to it. Okay. She told you exactly what it is. If you need clarity, you need to book a call with her so that she can go ahead and walk you through that clearly so that you don't complicate it for yourself down the line. Okay. Don't be like, I heard it, now I'm trying to figure it out. No, go ahead and book a call. We're going to make sure that y'all get all the information. Where can people find you? Where can they connect with you, Nicole?
Yeah, so my last name is spelt just like the fish, salmon. So Nicole O, don't forget the letter O, NicoleOSalmon.com, or Nicole O Salmon on every social media platform.
She made it simple, y'all. Very, very simple. Okay. This is easy way to be able to follow her, easy way to be able to get connected with her. Nicole, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for being here. Thank you for making it very clear for us to know what it is that we need to be looking out for, right? And what it is that I know that just in this moment of being able to talk to you, if someone had an hour to sit with you in a strategy session, like their life would be forever changed. So thank you for your yes and your obedience from that very beginning. As always, thank you for saying yes to being on the show. I appreciate you. And I'm glad that you were able to come on today.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, you are so welcome. Y'all, make sure that you click the information in the show notes so that you can get connected to Nicole. You can get connected to her via Instagram. You can get connected via her website, YouTube, all of those things. It will be in the show notes. Until next time, see ya. All right, y'all, that's all for this week. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to share, subscribe, rate, and review. Remember to head over to Facebook and Instagram and follow me at Slaying Self-Doubt. Oh, wait, don't forget, go to my YouTube channel and watch this episode, and remember to press the subscribe button. Until next week, see ya.